Ever felt held back in life? Unsure how to connect with others? The audiobook, You're Not Shy, unlocks the secrets to mastering emotional intelligence and social skills. Discover how to confidently navigate any social situation, build genuine connections, and thrive in personal and professional relationships. Without these skills, you risk missing out on life-changing opportunities and deep, meaningful connections. Transform your social life, boost your career, and become the best version of yourself. Don't let shyness define you. Your journey to emotional intelligence and social skills mastery starts here. Before we go on, I invite you to download the free bundle, which contains the ebook version of this book and an executive summary of all the chapters with the key takeaways. Studies show that engaging with content through multiple formats significantly enhances learning and retention. Click on the first link in the description to claim your free bundle now and maximize your learning potential. Now it's free, but it won't be for long, so make sure to grab it while you can. Chapter 1, Starting Within. The bustling cafe was filled with the usual morning crowd, a sea of faces buried in smartphones or laptops. Yet amidst the chaos, one person stood out. She wasn't frantically checking emails or scrolling through social media. Instead, she sat quietly, a small notebook open before her, pen poised thoughtfully over the page. Her eyes held a spark of determination, a glimmer of hope. This was the beginning of her journey, a journey you're about to embark on yourself. Emotional intelligence and social skills aren't innate talents reserved for a chosen few. They're skills that can be learned, honed, and mastered by anyone willing to put in the effort. This book is your guide to that transformation, and it all starts here, within yourself. The path to mastering emotional intelligence and social skills begins with a fundamental shift in perspective. It's about embracing the belief that you can change, grow, and improve. This mindset, known as a growth mindset, is the cornerstone of personal development. It's the difference between saying, "I'm just not a people person, and I haven't mastered social skills yet, but I can learn." As you begin this journey, it's crucial to understand what you can realistically achieve in the short term. By the time you finish this book for the first time, you should have developed a clear understanding of what emotional intelligence is and why it matters in both your personal and professional life. You'll recognize how your emotions influence your thoughts and behaviors and how they impact your interactions with others. Moreover, you'll have begun to cultivate a growth mindset towards enhancing your social skills. This means viewing social challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for learning and improvement. You'll start to see each interaction, each conversation, as a chance to practice and refine your skills. Perhaps most importantly, you'll have established clear personal goals for your emotional and social development. These goals will serve as your roadmap, guiding your efforts and helping you measure your progress. But what about the long-term benefits? What can this journey lead to if you continue to practice and apply these skills over time? The potential is truly transformative. You can expect to see a significant increase in self-awareness and confidence in social interactions. You'll find yourself navigating complex social situations with greater ease, reading social cues more accurately, and responding more appropriately. Your relationships, both personal and professional, will likely become stronger and more meaningful. You'll develop the ability to connect with others on a deeper level, to empathize more fully, and to communicate more effectively. This can lead to more satisfying friendships, more harmonious family relationships, and more productive work partnerships. Perhaps most exciting is the potential for continuous personal growth and improved emotional resilience. As you become more attuned to your emotions and those of others, you'll find yourself better equipped to handle life's challenges. Stressful situations that once would have thrown you off balance will become manageable. Conflicts that once seemed insurmountable will become opportunities for growth and understanding. So, what's involved in this process? What are the most important steps? The journey begins with embracing self-compassion and letting go of self-judgment. This might sound counterintuitive. After all, aren't we trying to improve ourselves? But harsh self-criticism often leads to defensiveness and resistance to change. By approaching yourself with kindness and understanding, you create a safe space for honest self-reflection and growth. Next comes the crucial step of setting intentional goals for your development. These goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART. They might include things like practice active listening in 3 conversations this week, or identify and manage my emotional triggers in stressful work situations. The third key step is committing to daily practices that enhance emotional intelligence. This might involve mindfulness exercises, journaling about your emotions, or deliberately practicing empathy in your interactions. The key is consistency. Small, daily efforts compound over time to create significant change. Why are these steps important, and why are they in this order? Self-compassion comes first because it creates the psychological safety necessary for honest self-reflection and growth. Without it, we tend to shy away from acknowledging our weaknesses or mistakes, which are essential for learning. Setting goals comes next because it provides direction and motivation. Goals give us something concrete to work towards, helping to maintain focus and effort even when progress feels slow. Daily commitment is the final piece of the puzzle because it ensures consistent progress and habit formation. Emotional intelligence and social skills aren't developed through occasional bursts of effort, but through consistent practice over time. As we delve deeper into this journey, it's important to understand the scope and purpose of this book. We're not aiming for perfection or promising to turn you into a social savant overnight. Instead, we're providing you with a toolkit, a set of skills, strategies, and insights that you can use to navigate the complex world of human interaction more effectively. The potential impact of this journey on your personal and professional life cannot be overstated. Improved emotional intelligence can lead to better decision-making, more effective leadership, and greater overall life satisfaction. In your personal life, it can result in deeper, more fulfilling relationships and a greater sense of emotional well-being. Adopting a growth mindset is crucial to this process. It means truly believing in your ability to change and improve. This can be challenging, especially if you've long held limiting beliefs about your social abilities. Perhaps you've always thought of yourself as shy or socially awkward. These labels can become self-fulfilling prophecies if we let them. But with a growth mindset, you can reframe these challenges as opportunities for growth. That networking event that once filled you with dread, it becomes a chance to practice your conversation skills. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding, it's an opportunity to enhance your emotional regulation and communication abilities. As you prepare for this transformation, it's important to build self-compassion and patience with yourself. Change takes time, and there will inevitably be setbacks along the way. Treat these as learning experiences rather than failures. Be kind to yourself as you would be to a friend who's learning a new skill. Cultivating optimism and setting positive expectations can also significantly impact your journey. Believe in your ability to improve and visualize the positive changes you want to see in your life. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or difficulties, but rather approaching them with a sense of hope and determination. Finally, consider establishing a supportive environment for your development. This might involve sharing your goals with trusted friends or family members who can encourage you along the way. It could mean joining a support group or finding a mentor who has already walked this path. Surrounding yourself with positivity and support can make a world of difference in your journey. As we conclude this first chapter, take a moment to reflect on where you are and where you want to be. Recognize that by picking up this book, you've already taken the first step on an incredible journey of self-discovery and growth. The path ahead may not always be easy, but it promises to be deeply rewarding. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every socially adept individual you admire once stood where you stand now at the beginning of their journey. The difference lies not in innate talent, but in the willingness to learn, grow, and persevere. In the chapters that follow, we'll delve deeper into specific strategies and techniques for enhancing your emotional intelligence and social skills. We'll explore how to truly know yourself, how to control your emotions, understand others, build rapport, handle conflict, lead conversations, and maintain healthy boundaries. But for now, take a deep breath. Acknowledge the courage it takes to embark on this journey of self-improvement. And as you turn the page to the next chapter, know that you're not just reading a book, you're taking the first steps towards a more emotionally intelligent, socially adept, and ultimately more fulfilling life. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You've taken that step. Now, let's explore what lies beyond the mirror of self-reflection and discover the incredible potential that resides within you. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Know Yourself. Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own skin? Like your emotions were a foreign language you couldn't quite decipher? You're not alone. In our fast-paced world, it's all too easy to lose touch with ourselves, to become disconnected from our inner workings. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking your full potential in emotional intelligence and social skills lies within you? This chapter is all about embarking on a journey of self-discovery. It's about peeling back the layers of your psyche, uncovering the hidden depths of your emotions, and truly getting to know the person you are at your core. It might sound daunting, even a little scary, but I promise you, it's a journey worth taking. So, why is this so important? Why should you care about knowing yourself? Well, imagine trying to navigate a complex maze while blindfolded. That's what it's like trying to master emotional intelligence and social skills without self-awareness. You might stumble upon the right path occasionally, but more often than not, you'll find yourself hitting dead ends and going in circles. Self-awareness is like removing that blindfold. It allows you to see the maze clearly, to understand its twists and turns, and to navigate it with confidence. When you truly know yourself, you gain the power to regulate your emotions more effectively. Instead of being at the mercy of your feelings, you become their master. But it goes beyond just managing your emotions. Understanding yourself enhances the authenticity of your interactions with others. Think about it. How can you be genuine in your relationships if you're not even sure who you really are? When you know your true self, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your motivations, you can show up in the world as your authentic self. And authenticity, my friend, is magnetic. It draws people to you and fosters deeper, more meaningful connections. Moreover, identifying your personal patterns is like finding the cheat codes to your own growth. We all have habitual ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Some of these patterns serve us well, while others hold us back. By recognizing these patterns, you gain the power to reinforce the positive ones and change the negative ones. It's like being able to reprogram your own software for optimal performance. So, how do we go about developing this crucial self-awareness? It starts with a willingness to look inward, to ask yourself tough questions, and to listen, really listen, to the answers. One powerful tool in this process is identifying your emotional triggers. These are situations, words, or events that elicit strong emotional responses in you. Maybe it's when someone interrupts you while you're speaking, or when you feel like you're being ignored. By recognizing these triggers, you can start to understand why they affect you so strongly and develop strategies to manage your reactions. A practical way to track these triggers is by keeping an emotion journal. This doesn't have to be an elaborate diary. Even a simple note on your phone can do the trick. The key is to jot down situations that stirred up strong emotions in you, what those emotions were, and how you reacted. Over time, you'll start to see patterns emerge. You might notice that you tend to feel anxious in large social gatherings, or that you often react with anger when you feel your boundaries are being crossed. Understanding these emotional patterns is like decoding your personal emotional language. It allows you to connect the dots between your emotions, thoughts and behaviors. You might realize that your tendency to procrastinate is actually rooted in a fear of failure, or that your habit of overworking stems from a deep-seated need for validation. These insights are gold. They give you the power to address the root causes of your behaviors rather than just treating the symptoms. But self-awareness isn't just about understanding your emotions. It's also about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses. One effective tool for this is a personal SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a technique often used in business, but it can be incredibly powerful for personal development too. Start by listing your personal strengths. What are you naturally good at? What skills have you developed over time? These could be things like your ability to empathize with others, your knack for problem solving, or your talent for public speaking. Next, honestly assess your weaknesses. Maybe you struggle with time management, or you find it difficult to assert yourself in conflicts. Remember, acknowledging your weaknesses isn't about beating yourself up. It's about identifying areas for growth. The O and T in SWOT refer to external factors. Opportunities are external circumstances that you could leverage for your growth. This might be a new job that allows you to develop your leadership skills, or a friend who's offered to teach you a new language. Threats are external challenges that could hinder your progress, like a toxic work environment or negative influences in your social circle. Once you've completed your SWOT analysis, you can develop strategies to leverage your strengths, address your weaknesses, seize opportunities, and mitigate threats. This gives you a roadmap for your personal development journey. But here's the thing. Our perception of ourselves isn't always accurate. We all have blind spots, areas where our self-image doesn't quite match reality. That's where feedback from others comes in. Seeking input from trusted friends, family members, or colleagues can provide invaluable insights into how others perceive you. It can highlight strengths you might be undervaluing or weaknesses you hadn't noticed. When seeking feedback, it's important to approach it with an open mind. It's natural to feel defensive when hearing criticism, but try to view it as valuable information rather than a personal attack. Ask specific questions like, what do you think are my greatest strengths? Or, in what areas do you think I could improve? And remember, you don't have to agree with every piece of feedback you receive, but it's worth considering and reflecting on. Now, let's talk about some tools for self-discovery. Personality assessments, like the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator or the Big Five, can provide interesting insights into your personality traits. These assessments categorize your tendencies in areas like extroversion versus introversion, thinking versus feeling, and openness to experience. While they shouldn't be treated as definitive labels, they can offer a framework for understanding your natural inclinations and how they might influence your behavior and interactions. Another crucial aspect of self-discovery is clarifying your values. Your core values are the principles that guide your decisions and behaviors. They're the things that matter most to you, that give your life meaning and purpose. Identifying these values can help you ensure that your actions align with what truly matters to you, leading to greater authenticity and fulfillment. To clarify your values, try this exercise. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back. What would you want to be remembered for? What principles would you hope had guided your actions? These answers can point you towards your core values. Once you've identified them, you can use them as a compass for decision-making and goal-setting. Now, let's get practical. How can you incorporate self-discovery into your daily life? One powerful practice is daily reflection journaling. Set aside a few minutes each day to write about your experiences, your emotional responses, and any insights you've gained. Over time, you'll start to notice patterns and trends in your thoughts and behaviors. Another valuable tool is mindful meditation. This practice involves sitting quietly and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's like watching clouds pass across the sky. You notice them, but you don't try to hold on to them or push them away. This can increase your present moment awareness and help you become more attuned to your inner experiences. As you embark on this journey of self-discovery, It's important to remember that it's a process, not a destination. You're not trying to reach a point where you have yourself all figured out. Instead, you're developing a habit of self-reflection and introspection that will serve you throughout your life. So, what outcomes can you expect from this process? At a basic level, you'll likely experience increased recognition of your emotional states and triggers. You'll become more aware of what you're feeling in the moment and why. This alone can be transformative, giving you greater control over your emotional responses. As you progress, you might find yourself able to anticipate and prepare for emotional responses. You'll start to recognize the early signs of anger, anxiety, or other strong emotions, allowing you to implement coping strategies before they overwhelm you. The ultimate goal, the best possible outcome, is a deep self-understanding that leads to proactive emotional management and authentic social interactions. Imagine being so in tune with yourself that you can navigate complex social situations with ease, expressing yourself authentically while also being attuned to the needs and emotions of others. This level of self-awareness can transform not just your social interactions, but your entire life experience. Of course, the path of self-discovery isn't always smooth. You might encounter resistance to acknowledging uncomfortable emotions. It can be tempting to avoid looking at parts of ourselves that we don't like or that make us uncomfortable. The key here is to practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that growth comes from facing all aspects of yourself, even the difficult ones. You might also feel overwhelmed by self-analysis at times. If this happens, remember that you don't have to figure everything out at once. Break the process down into smaller, manageable steps. Focus on one area at a time, whether it's identifying your emotional triggers, clarifying your values, or working on a particular skill. Another potential pitfall is misinterpreting assessment results. While personality tests and other assessments can be useful tools, they're not definitive or all-encompassing. Use them as starting points for reflection rather than rigid labels. If you're unsure about how to interpret results, consider seeking guidance from a professional who's trained in these assessments. As we wrap up this chapter, I want you to remember that knowing yourself is an ongoing journey. It's not about reaching a final destination, but about cultivating a lifelong habit of self-reflection and growth. Every insight you gain about yourself is a step towards greater emotional intelligence and more fulfilling social interactions. You've taken the first steps on this journey of self-discovery. You've peeled back the first layers, but there's still so much to explore. As you move forward, remember that true strength lies not in perfection, but in understanding and embracing all aspects of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the weaknesses. In the next chapter, we'll delve into a realm that many find challenging, the world of emotions. We'll explore how to navigate this complex landscape, how to harness the power of your feelings rather than being overwhelmed by them. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of emotional mastery? The journey continues, and the best is yet to come. Chapter 3: Control Emotions. Imagine standing at the helm of a ship in the midst of a turbulent storm. The waves crash against the hull, the wind howls, and the sky darkens ominously. In this moment, your ability to navigate safely doesn't just depend on your knowledge of sailing or the strength of your vessel. It hinges on something far more crucial: your capacity to remain calm and make clear-headed decisions despite the chaos surrounding you. This scenario isn't far from the reality we face in our daily lives. The storms we encounter may not involve actual waves and wind, but they can be just as overwhelming. A heated argument with a loved one, a high-stakes presentation at work, or an unexpected crisis can all trigger a maelstrom of emotions that threaten to capsize our composure. But what if I told you that you could learn to be the calm in the center of any emotional storm? What if you could develop the ability to navigate even the most turbulent situations with grace and clarity? This is the power of emotional control, and it's what we'll be exploring in this chapter. Now, you might be wondering, control emotions? Isn't that just about suppressing feelings? Far from it. Emotional control isn't about becoming a stoic, unfeeling robot. It's about developing the ability to experience your emotions fully while not being overwhelmed or controlled by them. It's about steering your emotional ship rather than being tossed about by every wave that comes your way. So why is this skill so crucial for mastering emotional intelligence and social skills? Well, let's consider what happens when we lack emotional control. We've all been there. A moment of anger leads to words we can't take back. Fear paralyzes us from taking necessary action, or anxiety causes us to overthink and miss opportunities. These impulsive reactions can damage relationships, hinder our personal growth, and even derail our professional aspirations. On the flip side, when we can regulate our emotions effectively, we open up a world of possibilities. We can respond thoughtfully in social interactions rather than reacting impulsively. This ability to pause, process, and choose our response is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. It allows us to navigate complex social situations with finesse, whether it's diffusing a tense negotiation, offering comfort to a friend in distress, or collaborating effectively in a team. Moreover, emotional control acts as a stabilizing force in our relationships. When we can manage our own emotions, we become a steady, reliable presence for others. We're less likely to lash out in anger, withdraw in fear, or make rash decisions based on temporary feelings. This stability fosters trust and deepens connections, enhancing both our personal and professional relationships. But how do we develop this ability to control our emotions? It starts with understanding that our emotions don't just happen to us. They're intricately linked with our thoughts and beliefs. This is where cognitive behavioral psychology comes into play. By recognizing the connection between our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, we can start to influence this cycle consciously. One powerful technique for emotional regulation is mindfulness. At its core, mindfulness is about being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's like creating a small pause between stimulus and response, giving you the space to choose how you want to react. A simple mindfulness practice you can start with is mindful breathing. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and focus your attention on your breath. Notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This simple exercise, practiced regularly, can significantly enhance your ability to stay present and calm in stressful situations. Another mindfulness technique is grounding. This involves using your senses to anchor yourself in the present moment. For instance, you might focus on feeling your feet on the ground, noticing 5 things you can see around you, or listening intently to the sounds in your environment. These practices can be particularly helpful when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. While mindfulness helps us stay present, cognitive reframing allows us to change our perspective on a situation. This technique involves identifying negative thought patterns and challenging them. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm going to mess up this presentation and everyone will think I'm incompetent," you can challenge this thought. Is it really true that one presentation defines your entire competence? What evidence do you have to support or refute this thought? Once you've challenged the negative thought, you can replace it with a more balanced, constructive one. Perhaps something like, "This presentation is an opportunity to share my ideas. Even if it's not perfect, I can learn from the experience." By changing your thoughts, you can influence your emotional response and, consequently, your behavior. Of course, all the techniques in the world won't help if you can't recognize when you need to use them. That's why it's crucial to become adept at recognizing the early signs of stress and emotional overwhelm. These signs can be physical, like tension in your shoulders, a rapid heartbeat, or shallow breathing. They can also be emotional, such as irritability, anxiety, or a sense of being overwhelmed. By tuning into these early warning signs, you can implement de-escalation tactics before your emotions spiral out of control. This might involve taking a brief timeout, stepping away from a heated situation to collect your thoughts. It could mean using a quick breathing exercise to calm your nervous system, or it might involve communicating your needs assertively to others, setting boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. Developing emotional control isn't just about managing difficult emotions in the moment. It's also about building long-term resilience. Think of it as creating an emotional savings account. Just as you might save money for a rainy day, you can build up emotional reserves to help you weather life's storms. One way to do this is by regularly engaging in activities that promote well-being. This could be anything that brings you joy, relaxation, or a sense of accomplishment. It might be a hobby you enjoy, spending time in nature, or practicing a skill you're developing. The key is to make these activities a regular part of your routine, not just something you do when you're already stressed. Building supportive relationships is another crucial aspect of emotional resilience. Having people you can turn to for support, understanding, and perspective can make a world of difference when you're facing challenges. Nurture your relationships, be there for others, and don't be afraid to reach out when you need support. Another key to developing resilience is learning from setbacks. Every challenging situation is an opportunity for growth if we approach it with the right mindset. After a difficult experience, take some time to reflect. What emotions came up for you? How did you handle them? What worked well, and what could you do differently next time? By treating each experience as a learning opportunity, you can continually refine your emotional regulation skills. Now, let's talk about some practical exercises you can use to enhance your emotional control. We've already mentioned mindfulness meditation, which is a powerful tool for developing present moment awareness. Try to set aside at least 10 minutes each day for a mindfulness practice. You might use a guided meditation app to start with, or simply sit quietly and focus on your breath. Another useful tool is keeping a thought record sheet. This involves documenting situations that trigger strong emotions, noting your automatic thoughts in those moments, and identifying any cognitive distortions like all-or-nothing thinking or catastrophizing in those thoughts. By regularly practicing this, you'll become more adept at recognizing and challenging unhelpful thought patterns. Creating a personalized stress management plan can also be incredibly helpful. This involves identifying your common stressors, your typical reactions to stress, and strategies that work for you to manage stress. Having this plan in place can help you respond more effectively when stressful situations arise. As you embark on this journey of developing emotional control, it's important to have realistic expectations. A good initial outcome might be an improved ability to remain calm in mildly stressful situations. You might find yourself taking a deep breath and pausing before responding to a mildly annoying email rather than firing off an angry reply. An excellent outcome would be consistent emotional control even under significant stress. This might look like maintaining your composure during a heated argument or staying focused and calm during a high-pressure work situation. The best possible outcome is a mastery of emotional responses that leads to enhanced relationships and decision-making. At this level, you're not just managing your emotions, you're using them as valuable information to guide your actions. You're able to empathize deeply with others while maintaining your own emotional balance. Your decisions are informed by your emotions, but not controlled by them. Of course, developing emotional control is not without its challenges. You might find it difficult to recognize automatic negative thoughts at first. The key here is practice. Regularly check in with yourself throughout the day. What are you feeling? What thoughts are accompanying those feelings? Over time, you'll become more adept at catching those thoughts as they arise. Consistency in practicing emotional regulation techniques can also be a challenge. Our lives are busy, and it's easy to let these practices slip. One way to address this is by setting reminders and integrating these practices into your daily routine. Maybe you do a quick mindfulness exercise every morning while your coffee brews, or you fill out a thought record sheet before bed each night. Finally, you might feel frustrated if you don't see rapid progress. Remember, developing emotional control is a skill like any other. It takes time and practice to master. Acknowledge and celebrate small improvements along the way. Did you catch yourself before snapping at someone? That's progress. Were you able to calm yourself down more quickly after getting upset? That's progress too. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to remember that emotional control is not about suppressing or denying your emotions. It's about developing a healthier, more balanced relationship with them. It's about being able to feel deeply while also maintaining your equilibrium. It's about using your emotions as valuable information rather than being controlled by them. You've taken the first steps towards mastering your emotional responses. You've learned about mindfulness, cognitive reframing, and building resilience. You've explored practical exercises to enhance your emotional control. But this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll delve into a realm that many find mysterious and challenging, the world of other people's emotions. How can we navigate this complex landscape? How can we understand and connect with others on a deeper level? The answers might surprise you, and they're closer than you think. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of empathy and emotional connection? The journey continues, and a whole new world of understanding awaits. Chapter 4. Understand Others. Have you ever felt like you were speaking a different language from everyone else, even when you're all using the same words? Or perhaps you found yourself in a situation where the tension in the room was palpable, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why. Welcome to the intricate world of human interaction, where what's left unsaid often speaks louder than words. In this chapter, we're going to embark on a journey into the minds and hearts of those around us. We'll explore the hidden language that everyone speaks but few truly understand. It's a language that transcends words, a silent symphony of gestures, expressions, and energy that communicates volumes if you know how to listen. But why is this so crucial? Why should we care about delving into the emotional landscapes of others? Well, imagine for a moment that you had a superpower. This superpower would allow you to sense what others are feeling, to understand their perspective even when it differs vastly from your own, to navigate social situations with ease and grace. Sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? This superpower has a name: empathy. And while it might seem like something you're either born with or not, the truth is that empathy, like any skill, can be developed and honed. It's not about being psychic or having an uncanny ability to read minds. It's about learning to tune into the subtle cues that everyone broadcasts constantly, often without even realizing it. Developing this skill is like learning to see the world in color when you've been living in black and white. Suddenly, social interactions take on new depth and meaning. You start to understand why people react the way they do, even when their reactions seem irrational on the surface. You begin to see the hidden motivations behind actions, the unspoken fears and desires that drive behavior. This understanding is the key to fostering deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When you can truly empathize with someone, you create a bridge of understanding between you. This bridge allows for clearer communication, reduces misunderstandings, and helps prevent conflicts before they even begin. But empathy isn't just about making friends and influencing people. It's a crucial skill in every aspect of life. In the workplace, it can help you collaborate more effectively with colleagues, understand the needs of clients or customers, and even become a more effective leader. In personal relationships, it can help you support loved ones through difficult times, resolve conflicts more easily, and create stronger, more lasting bonds. So how do we develop this superpower? It starts with perspective taking. This is the ability to step outside of your own viewpoint and consider how someone else might be experiencing a situation. It's about asking yourself, if I were in their shoes, how might I feel? What might I be thinking? This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone's perspective. The goal isn't to abandon your own views, but to expand your understanding to include those of others. It's about recognizing that there are many valid ways to see the world, and that someone else's perspective, even if different from your own, is just as real and valid to them as yours is to you. Practicing perspective taking can be as simple as pausing before you react to someone and asking yourself, what might be going on for them that I can't see? Maybe the colleague who snapped at you is dealing with stress at home. Perhaps the friend who's been distant lately is struggling with something they're not ready to share. By considering these possibilities, you open yourself up to a more compassionate and understanding response. But empathy isn't just about intellectual understanding. It's also about emotional resonance, the ability to connect with and share the feelings of others. This doesn't mean taking on everyone's emotions as your own. Rather, it's about creating a space where others feel seen, heard, and understood. One powerful way to build this emotional connection is through validation. This means acknowledging and accepting someone's feelings without judgment. It's not about agreeing with their actions or telling them they're right. It's simply about recognizing their emotional experience as real and valid. For example, instead of telling someone, "Don't be sad," or "You shouldn't feel that way," try saying something like, "It sounds like you're really hurting right now. That must be difficult." This simple act of validation can be incredibly powerful. It makes people feel heard and understood, which in turn makes them more likely to open up and connect with you. Now, let's dive into the fascinating world of nonverbal communication. Did you know that a significant portion of our communication happens without words? Our bodies are constantly sending out signals about how we feel, often without our conscious awareness. Learning to read these signals is like gaining access to a secret language that everyone speaks, but few understand. Let's start with body language basics. The way someone stands or sits can tell you a lot about how they're feeling. Open postures, arms uncrossed, body facing towards you, generally indicate openness and engagement. Closed postures, arms crossed, body turned away, might suggest discomfort or defensiveness. Gestures can also be revealing. Fidgeting or playing with objects might indicate nervousness or discomfort. Hand movements that match the rhythm of speech often indicate enthusiasm and engagement. Pay attention to these subtle cues, and you'll start to pick up on information that goes beyond what's being said. Facial expressions are another rich source of emotional information. We all know the basic expressions of happiness, sadness, anger, and surprise. But did you know that there are also micro-expressions? These are fleeting expressions that flash across someone's face for just a fraction of a second, often revealing true feelings that the person is trying to hide. Learning to spot these micro-expressions takes practice, but it can provide invaluable insights. A quick flash of contempt during an otherwise pleasant conversation might indicate underlying issues. A brief expression of fear in response to a seemingly innocuous comment could reveal hidden anxieties. But remember, interpreting nonverbal cues isn't about making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. It's about gathering information and using it to inform your interactions. If you notice someone's body language seems closed off, for example, you might adjust your approach to help them feel more comfortable. Developing your active observation skills is key to understanding others. This means not just passively receiving information, but actively looking for patterns and meanings in social interactions. When you're in a group setting, try to notice the dynamics at play. Who seems to be leading the conversation? Who appears to be uncomfortable or left out? What unspoken rules seem to be governing the interaction? Enhancing your situational awareness also plays a crucial role. This means being attentive to the broader context of an interaction. What's the setting? What happened just before this moment? How might external factors be influencing people's behavior? By considering these factors, you can gain a more nuanced understanding of social situations. Now, let's talk about some practical exercises you can use to develop these skills. One powerful practice is what I call empathy sessions. These are conversations where your sole focus is on listening and understanding the other person. Try to set aside your own opinions and reactions. Instead, focus entirely on trying to see the world from their perspective. Ask open-ended questions that encourage them to share more. Practice validating their feelings without judgment. Another useful exercise is keeping a nonverbal cue journal. Throughout your day, make note of the body language and facial expressions you observe in others. What do you think these cues might be communicating? Over time, you'll start to notice patterns and improve your ability to interpret these silent signals. Role-playing scenarios can also be incredibly helpful. Find a friend or family member who's willing to practice with you. Take turns acting out different emotional states or social situations. Try to interpret each other's nonverbal cues and emotional states. This kind of practice can help you become more comfortable reading and responding to social cues in real-life situations. As you embark on this journey of understanding others, it's important to have realistic expectations. A good initial outcome might be an improved ability to recognize basic emotions in others. You might find yourself noticing when a friend seems sad or anxious, even if they haven't explicitly said so. An excellent outcome would be the skillful interpretation of subtle social cues. At this level, you're picking up on nuanced emotional states and responding appropriately. You might notice the slight tension in a colleague's voice that indicates stress, or the subtle shift in posture that suggests someone is becoming uncomfortable with a topic. The best possible outcome is the ability to form deep empathetic connections and anticipate others' needs. At this level, you're not just reading emotions, but understanding the complex web of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that drive behavior. You're able to connect with others on a profound level, offering support and understanding in ways that truly resonate. Of course, developing these skills isn't without its challenges. One common issue is misreading nonverbal signals. It's important to remember that body language and facial expressions can be ambiguous. What looks like anger might actually be concentration. What seems like disinterest could be fatigue. The solution here is twofold. First, continue practicing your observation skills. The more you observe, the more accurate your interpretations will become. Second, don't be afraid to seek clarification. You can always ask open-ended questions to check your understanding. You seem upset. Is everything okay? This not only helps you confirm your interpretation, but also shows the other person that you're paying attention and care about their feelings. Another potential pitfall is emotional overwhelm. When you start to connect more deeply with others' emotions, it can sometimes feel like you're taking on their pain or stress. It's important to establish emotional boundaries and practice self-care. Remember, empathy isn't about absorbing others' emotions, but about understanding and supporting them while maintaining your own emotional balance. Lastly, be wary of overanalyzing social interactions. While it's valuable to be observant, you don't want to become so focused on analyzing every little cue that you lose the natural flow of interaction. Strive for a balance between observation and natural engagement. Use your insights to inform your interactions, not to scrutinize them excessively. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to remember that understanding others is an ongoing journey. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn and grow. Every person you meet has something to teach you about the vast spectrum of human experience. By developing your empathy and observation skills, you're not just improving your social interactions, you're expanding your understanding of what it means to be human. You've taken the first steps towards seeing the world through others' eyes. You've learned about perspective taking, emotional resonance, and the silent language of nonverbal cues. You've explored practical exercises to enhance your empathy and observation skills. But this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to take this understanding and use it to create powerful connections. How can we leverage our newfound insights to build rapport quickly and effortlessly? What's the secret to making others feel truly seen and valued? The answers might surprise you, and they're closer than you think. Are you ready to discover the art of genuine connection? The journey continues, and a world of deeper, more meaningful relationships awaits. Chapter 5. Build Rapport. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection? As if you've known them for years, even though you've just met. There's a certain magic in those moments, a spark that ignites a potential friendship or a productive working relationship. But what if I told you that this magic isn't as mysterious as it seems? What if you could learn to create that spark, that instant connection with almost anyone you meet? This is the art of building rapport, and it's what we'll be exploring in this chapter. But before we dive in, let's consider why this skill is so crucial in mastering emotional intelligence and social skills. Imagine trying to have a meaningful conversation with someone while standing on opposite sides of a wide ravine. You might be able to shout across, but the nuances of your words would be lost, the subtleties of your expressions unseen. Building rapport is like constructing a bridge across that ravine. It allows for clear, effective communication, enabling ideas and emotions to flow freely between people. But rapport goes beyond just facilitating communication. It's the foundation upon which trust is built. When you have rapport with someone, they're more likely to open up to you, to share their thoughts and feelings honestly. This trust is the lubricant that makes all social interactions smoother, whether you're trying to close a business deal, resolve a conflict with a friend, or simply enjoy a pleasant conversation with a new acquaintance. Moreover, the ability to build rapport quickly and effectively can dramatically enhance both your personal and professional relationships. In your personal life, it can help you form deeper friendships, navigate social situations with ease, and even improve your romantic relationships. Professionally, it can make you a more effective leader, a better team player, and a more persuasive communicator. So, how do we go about building this magical bridge of rapport? It starts with authenticity. In a world where we're often encouraged to present a polished, perfect version of ourselves, true authenticity can feel like a breath of fresh air. When you're genuine and sincere in your interactions, people can sense it. It makes them feel safe to be genuine in return, creating a foundation of trust. Being authentic doesn't mean oversharing or ignoring social norms. It simply means being true to yourself and your values in your interactions. It means letting your real personality shine through, rather than putting on a facade you think others want to see. One powerful way to foster authenticity is by sharing appropriate personal experiences. When you open up about your own life, it invites others to do the same. The key word here is appropriate. You want to share enough to create a connection, but not so much that it overwhelms the other person or makes them uncomfortable. Another crucial aspect of building rapport is finding common ground. Humans are naturally drawn to those who are similar to us. When we discover shared interests or experiences with someone, it creates an immediate sense of connection. This doesn't mean you need to have everything in common with someone to build rapport. Even small similarities can be powerful connection points. The trick is to be genuinely curious about the other person and to listen actively for potential areas of common ground. Maybe you both grew up in the same part of the country, or you share a love for the same sport, or you've both recently taken up a new hobby. When you find these points of connection, don't be afraid to explore them further. They can be the foundation upon which you build a stronger relationship. Now, let's delve into a fascinating technique that can dramatically enhance your ability to build rapport: mirroring. This concept comes from the field of social psychology, and it's based on the observation that we tend to like and trust people who are similar to us. Mirroring involves subtly matching certain aspects of another person's behavior to create a sense of familiarity and comfort. Verbal mirroring is one aspect of this technique. It involves reflecting the language, pace, and tone of the person you're talking to. If they speak slowly and thoughtfully, you might adjust your own speech to match. If they use certain phrases or expressions frequently, you might incorporate those into your own speech, as long as it feels natural and not forced. For example, if someone tends to use visual language, saying things like, "I see what you mean," or "that looks good to me," you might respond in kind with phrases like, "Let me paint you a picture," or "Can you envision how that might work?" This creates a sense of being on the same wavelength, enhancing understanding and connection. Nonverbal mirroring is equally important. This involves aligning your body language and gestures with the other person. If they lean in while talking, you might do the same. If they use expressive hand gestures, you might become a bit more animated in your own gestures. The key is to be subtle. You're aiming for harmony, not mimicry. It's crucial to note that mirroring should always be done with respect for personal space and cultural norms. Different cultures have different standards for personal space and appropriate body language, so it's important to be aware of these differences and adjust accordingly. While mirroring can be a powerful tool for building rapport, it's not the whole story. Active listening is another crucial skill that can significantly enhance your ability to connect with others. Active listening goes beyond just hearing the words someone is saying. It's about fully engaging with the speaker, demonstrating that you're not just hearing them, but truly understanding and valuing what they're saying. One key aspect of active listening is demonstrating attention. This involves maintaining appropriate eye contact, which can vary depending on cultural norms, nodding to show understanding, and using verbal cues like or I see to indicate that you're engaged. These small signals can make a big difference in how heard and understood the other person feels. Another powerful active listening technique is the use of reflective responses. This involves paraphrasing what the other person has said to confirm your understanding. For example, you might say something like, "So what I'm hearing is," or "It sounds like you're saying." This not only shows that you're listening carefully, but it also gives the speaker a chance to clarify if you've misunderstood anything. Asking clarifying questions is another great way to deepen the conversation and show your genuine interest. These should be open-ended questions that encourage the speaker to elaborate on their thoughts and feelings. For instance, instead of asking, "Did that make you angry?" you might ask, "How did that situation make you feel?" Now that we've explored these techniques, let's talk about some practical exercises you can use to develop your rapport-building skills. One effective practice is mirroring role play. Find a friend or family member who's willing to help you practice. Take turns leading conversations while the other person tries to mirror your verbal and nonverbal cues. Then switch roles. This can help you become more aware of these subtle aspects of communication and more comfortable adjusting your own style. Active listening drills can also be incredibly helpful. Try having conversations where your sole focus is on listening. Resist the urge to interject with your own stories or opinions. Instead, concentrate on fully understanding the other person's perspective. Practice using reflective responses and asking clarifying questions. Another useful exercise is what I call common ground discovery. When you meet new people, challenge yourself to find at least 3 things you have in common within the first few minutes of conversation. This will help you develop the habit of looking for connection points and asking the right questions to uncover shared interests or experiences. As you work on developing these skills, it's important to have realistic expectations about the outcomes. A good initial outcome might be the ability to establish comfortable interactions with others. You'll find that conversations flow more easily, and you feel more at ease in social situations. An excellent outcome would be the ability to quickly build trust and rapport in various settings. You'll notice that people open up to you more readily, and you're able to establish productive working relationships or friendships more easily. The best possible outcome is the ability to form lasting connections that lead to meaningful relationships. At this level, you're not just making small talk or having pleasant interactions. You're creating deep, authentic connections that can enrich your life and the lives of those around you. Of course, as with any skill, there can be pitfalls along the way. One common issue is coming across as insincere or manipulative when trying to build rapport. This often happens when people try to force connections or overdo mirroring techniques. The solution is to always ensure your interactions are grounded in authenticity. Use these techniques as tools to enhance your natural communication style, not to create a false persona. Another potential issue is misaligning with someone's communication style. You might try to mirror someone's energetic, fast-paced speech when they're actually in a more reflective mood. The key here is to pay close attention to the other person's cues and be willing to adjust your approach. Remember, building rapport is about creating comfort and connection, so be flexible in your approach. Lastly, you might sometimes find it difficult to find common ground with someone. In these situations, the best approach is to come prepared with open-ended questions and to show genuine curiosity about the other person's experiences and perspectives. Even if you don't share many common interests, you can still connect over shared human experiences and emotions. As we wrap up this chapter, I want you to remember that building rapport is both an art and a science. It requires practice, patience, and a genuine interest in others. But with time and effort, you can develop the ability to create meaningful connections with almost anyone you meet. You've learned about the power of authenticity, the technique of mirroring, and the importance of active listening. You've explored practical exercises to enhance your rapport-building skills. But this is just the beginning of your journey towards mastering social interactions. In the next chapter, we'll explore a crucial skill that can make or break relationships, influence career trajectories, and determine the course of important negotiations. It's a skill that many people fear, but when mastered, can be one of the most powerful tools in your social arsenal. Are you ready to face the challenge head-on and emerge stronger on the other side? The path ahead may surprise you, but I promise it's a journey worth taking. Chapter 6. Handle conflict. Imagine a world where every interaction flows smoothly, where disagreements dissolve into mutual understanding, and where tension evaporates as quickly as it forms. Sounds idyllic, doesn't it? But here's the truth. Such a world doesn't exist. Conflict is an inevitable part of human interaction. It's not a question of if you'll encounter conflict, but when and how you'll handle it. Now, before you start feeling discouraged, let me assure you that this isn't bad news. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The ability to navigate conflict skillfully is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your social and emotional arsenal. It's a skill that can transform your relationships, enhance your career prospects, and dramatically improve your quality of life. But what exactly do we mean by handling conflict? It's not about avoiding disagreements or always getting your way. It's about something far more valuable: the ability to navigate disagreements gracefully while preserving and even strengthening relationships. It's about turning potential battlegrounds into opportunities for growth and understanding. Think about the last time you found yourself in a heated disagreement. How did you feel? Chances are, your heart rate increased, your muscles tensed, and you felt a surge of emotions, perhaps anger, frustration, or anxiety. This physiological response is hardwired into us, a remnant of our evolutionary past when conflicts could be life-threatening. But in our modern world, most conflicts aren't about physical survival. They're about ideas, preferences, and values. The problem is, our bodies and brains still react as if we're facing a physical threat. This is why conflicts can feel so intense and why they often escalate quickly if not managed well. So, why is mastering the art of handling conflict so crucial for emotional intelligence and social skills? First and foremost, effective conflict management is essential for maintaining healthy relationships. Think about it. Even the strongest relationships encounter disagreements. It's not the presence of conflict that determines the health of a relationship, but how that conflict is handled. When you can navigate conflicts skillfully, you're able to address issues without damaging the underlying relationship. This doesn't just preserve connections, it often strengthens them. Successfully working through a disagreement can increase mutual respect and understanding, deepening the bond between people. Moreover, learning to handle conflict effectively can significantly reduce stress in your life. Unresolved disputes are like emotional weights we carry around. They drain our energy, occupy our thoughts, and can even affect our physical health. By developing the skills to address and resolve conflicts, you're essentially learning to put down those weights, freeing yourself from the burden of ongoing tension and resentment. But the benefits don't stop there. Mastering conflict resolution enhances your problem-solving and negotiation skills. These are invaluable abilities in both personal and professional contexts. Whether you're working out a compromise with a spouse, negotiating a business deal, or finding a solution to a team disagreement at work, these skills will serve you well. So, how do we go about developing this crucial skill? It starts with approaching disagreements constructively. This means shifting your mindset from winning the argument to finding a solution that works for everyone involved. It's about seeing conflict not as a battle to be won, but as a problem to be solved collaboratively. One key aspect of this approach is staying neutral. This doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. Rather, it's about keeping your emotions in check during conflicts. Remember those physiological responses we talked about earlier? The key is to recognize when they're happening and consciously work to calm yourself. Take deep breaths. Remind yourself that this isn't a life or death situation, and focus on the issue at hand rather than your emotional reaction to it. Another crucial aspect of constructive conflict resolution is focusing on issues, not personalities. It's easy to fall into the trap of making conflicts personal, attacking the other person's character, rather than addressing the specific behavior or situation that's causing the problem. But this approach almost always escalates conflicts and damages relationships. Instead, try to separate the person from the problem. Address specific behaviors or events rather than making sweeping statements about the person's character. For example, instead of saying, "You're always so inconsiderate," you might say, "When you arrived an hour late without calling, I felt frustrated and disrespected." This brings us to one of the most powerful tools in conflict resolution, the use of I statements. This technique involves expressing your feelings and needs without blaming or attacking the other person. It's a way of communicating clearly and respectfully, even in the heat of a disagreement. The basic structure of an I statement is, I feel emotion when specific situation because reason. I need what you need. For example, I feel anxious when deadlines are missed because it affects the entire team's work. I need us to find a way to ensure we meet our commitments. Using I statements accomplishes several things. First, it expresses your feelings and needs clearly, helping the other person understand your perspective. Second, it avoids triggering defensiveness in the other person, as you're not attacking or blaming them. Finally, it keeps the focus on finding a solution rather than assigning fault. But effective communication during conflict isn't just about how you express yourself. It's equally important to listen, really listen, to the other person. This means allowing them to express themselves fully without interruption. It means making a genuine effort to understand their perspective, even if you disagree with it. One powerful technique for this is reflective listening. This involves paraphrasing what the other person has said to ensure you've understood correctly. For example, you might say, "So what I'm hearing is that you feel overwhelmed by your workload and need more support. Is that right?" This not only helps clarify their position, but also shows that you're making a real effort to understand. When it comes to actually resolving conflicts, there are several strategies you can employ. One is to focus on finding common solutions. This involves collaborating with the other person to identify outcomes that are acceptable to both parties. It's not about one person winning and the other losing, but about finding a way forward that addresses everyone's core needs and concerns. This often involves a willingness to compromise. Compromise doesn't mean giving up what's important to you. Rather, it's about prioritizing what's truly essential and being flexible on less critical points. It's about finding creative solutions that meet the most important needs of all involved. Sometimes, however, you may encounter situations where a full resolution isn't possible. In these cases, the skill of agreeing to disagree becomes crucial. This involves acknowledging and respecting differences of opinion while maintaining the relationship. It's about recognizing that it's possible to have different views or preferences without it threatening the underlying connection or respect between people. Now, like any skill, handling conflict effectively takes practice. One great way to develop these skills is through conflict role plays. Find a friend or family member willing to help and practice working through hypothetical disagreements. Take turns playing different roles and try out the techniques we've discussed. This allows you to experiment with different approaches in a low-stakes environment. Another useful exercise is to assess your own communication style in conflicts. Are you typically aggressive, passive, or assertive? Do you tend to avoid conflicts altogether? Understanding your default approach can help you identify areas for improvement and consciously choose more effective strategies. Practicing active listening specifically in the context of conflicts can also be incredibly helpful. Try having conversations where your sole focus is on understanding the other person's perspective, even if you disagree with it. Resist the urge to interrupt or defend your position. Instead, concentrate on truly hearing and acknowledging their point of view. As you work on developing these skills, it's important to have realistic expectations about the outcomes. A good initial outcome might be the ability to remain calm during minor conflicts. You'll find that you're able to keep your cool even when disagreements arise, avoiding the knee-jerk emotional reactions that often escalate situations. An excellent outcome would be the ability to effectively resolve disputes while preserving relationships. You'll notice that you're able to work through disagreements constructively, finding solutions that satisfy all parties without damaging the underlying connection. The best possible outcome is the ability to transform conflicts into opportunities for strengthened relationships and mutual understanding. At this level, you're not just resolving disagreements. You're using them as chances to deepen empathy, improve communication, and build stronger, more resilient connections. Of course, as with any skill, there can be challenges along the way. One common issue is becoming defensive or emotional during conflicts. When this happens, it's important to remember the emotional regulation techniques we discussed in earlier chapters. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of your goal to resolve the issue, not to win, and try to approach the situation with a calm, problem-solving mindset. Another potential pitfall is unintentionally escalating the conflict. This can happen when we react impulsively or use inflammatory language. If you notice this happening, don't be afraid to take a pause. It's okay to say something like, "I think we both need a moment to cool down. Can we take a short break and come back to this in 10 minutes?" This can provide valuable time to regain perspective and approach the issue more constructively. Lastly, some people tend to avoid conflict altogether. While this might seem like a way to keep the peace, it often leads to unresolved issues that fester over time. If you find yourself doing this, try to reframe how you think about conflict. Remember, addressing issues openly and respectfully is usually far better for relationships in the long run than sweeping them under the rug. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to remember that conflict, when handled well, can be a powerful force for positive change. It can lead to better understanding, improved solutions, and stronger relationships. The skills you've learned here, staying neutral, using I statements, listening actively, finding common solutions, are tools that can transform how you navigate disagreements in all areas of your life. You've taken important steps towards mastering the art of handling conflict. You've learned strategies for approaching disagreements constructively, communicating effectively during conflicts, and finding resolutions that work for everyone involved. But this is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to navigating complex social interactions. In the next chapter, we'll explore a skill that can elevate your social interactions from good to great. It's an ability that can make you the person everyone wants to talk to, the one who can guide conversations effortlessly and make others feel truly heard and valued. Are you ready to unlock the secret to becoming a master of dialogue? The journey continues, and the best is yet to come. Chapter 7. Lead Conversations. Have you ever found yourself in a social situation where the conversation seems to flow effortlessly, where ideas bounce back and forth, laughter erupts spontaneously, and time seems to fly by? These magical moments of connection don't happen by accident. They're often the result of someone skillfully guiding the interaction, creating an environment where everyone feels engaged, valued, and eager to contribute. This chapter is about unlocking the secrets to becoming that person, the one who can transform any social interaction from mundane to memorable. But it's not just about being the life of the party or the most popular person in the room. It's about something far more powerful and profound. Think about the last time you were truly captivated by a conversation. What made it so engaging? Was it the topic itself, or was it the way the discussion unfolded? More often than not, it's the latter. The art of leading conversations is about creating an experience that draws people in, makes them feel heard and understood, and leaves them feeling enriched by the interaction. But why is this skill so crucial for mastering emotional intelligence and social skills? First and foremost, the ability to lead conversations enhances your social influence. When you can guide discussions effectively, you become a focal point in social and professional settings. People are naturally drawn to those who can create engaging, meaningful interactions. Moreover, mastering this skill makes your interactions more rewarding, not just for others, but for you as well. When you can steer conversations in interesting directions, ask thought-provoking questions, and bring out the best in others, you'll find your social experiences becoming richer and more fulfilling. Lastly, the ability to lead conversations is a powerful tool for achieving your personal and professional communication goals. Whether you're networking at a business event, building rapport with a potential client, or simply trying to deepen your personal relationships, the skill of guiding conversations can help you create the outcomes you desire. So, how do we go about developing this crucial skill? It starts with understanding that every conversation has a purpose, even if it's just to connect and enjoy each other's company. Setting conversational goals doesn't mean having a rigid agenda for every interaction. Rather, it's about having a general idea of what you'd like to achieve or experience in the conversation. For instance, if you're at a networking event, your goal might be to learn about other people's work and find potential areas of collaboration. In a social setting with friends, your goal might be to ensure everyone feels included and has a good time. By having a clear intention, you can subtly steer the discussion in ways that align with these goals. One key aspect of guiding social interactions is mastering the art of smooth transitions. Have you ever been in a conversation that seemed to lurch from topic to topic, creating a sense of disconnection or awkwardness? Skilled conversationalists know how to seamlessly shift from one subject to another, maintaining a natural flow throughout the interaction. This doesn't mean forcing connections where there are none. Instead, it's about being attentive to the natural evolution of the conversation and recognizing opportunities to introduce new topics or explore different angles. It might involve picking up on a detail someone mentioned earlier and circling back to it, or finding an interesting link between two seemingly unrelated subjects. For example, if someone mentions they recently took up painting as a hobby, you might transition to discussing the importance of creative outlets in our busy lives, or you could segue into talking about favorite museums or art exhibitions. The key is to make these transitions feel organic and natural, not forced or abrupt. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools in a conversationalist's arsenal: open-ended questions. These are questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They invite the other person to share more deeply, encouraging them to express their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. For instance, instead of asking, "Did you enjoy your vacation?" you might ask, "What was the most memorable part of your trip?" This not only elicits a more detailed response, but also gives you more material to work with for follow-up questions and further discussion. Open-ended questions are also great for stimulating thoughtful dialogue. They can challenge people to think more deeply about a topic or consider new perspectives. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing our industry right now is likely to generate a more engaging discussion than is our industry facing any challenges? Another powerful technique for leading conversations is the judicious use of humor. Humor, when used appropriately, can be a fantastic tool for building rapport and creating a positive atmosphere. It can help to lighten the mood in tense situations, break the ice in new social settings, and make conversations more enjoyable for everyone involved. However, it's important to use humor wisely. What's funny in one context might be offensive in another, so it's crucial to be sensitive to your audience and the situation. Self-deprecating humor can be particularly effective as it shows humility and makes others feel more comfortable. Just be careful not to overdo it. The goal is to appear confident and approachable, not insecure. One of the most important aspects of leading conversations is making others feel valued. This goes beyond just being polite or friendly. It's about creating an environment where people feel truly seen, heard, and appreciated. One way to do this is by validating others' contributions to the conversation. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says, but rather acknowledging the value of their input. It could be as simple as saying, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I hadn't thought about it that way before." Building others up is another powerful way to make people feel valued in conversations. This involves offering genuine compliments and encouragement. The key word here is genuine. Insincere flattery is often easy to spot and can backfire. Instead, look for authentic ways to appreciate others. This could be complimenting a unique insight they shared, acknowledging their expertise on a topic, or expressing appreciation for their sense of humor. Encouraging participation and sharing is also crucial. In group conversations, there's often a tendency for a few people to dominate while others remain silent. A skilled conversationalist knows how to draw out quieter individuals and ensure everyone has a chance to contribute. This might involve directly asking for someone's opinion or finding ways to connect the topic to their interests or experiences. Now, let's explore some practical exercises you can use to develop these skills. One powerful technique is conversation mapping. This involves planning potential topics and desired outcomes for important conversations. This doesn't mean scripting every word, but rather having a general outline of points you'd like to cover and directions you might take the discussion. For instance, if you're meeting a new colleague for coffee, you might map out topics like their background, their role in the company, shared professional interests, and potential areas for collaboration. Having this mental map can help you guide the conversation naturally while ensuring you cover the important points. Another useful exercise is question crafting. Spend some time developing a list of open-ended questions for various situations. These could be general questions that work in many contexts, like what's the most exciting project you're working on right now, or more specific questions tailored to particular settings or topics. Practicing transitions is also crucial. You can do this through role-play exercises with friends or even by yourself. Take two seemingly unrelated topics and practice finding natural ways to transition between them. The more you practice, the more natural and effortless these transitions will become in real conversations. As you work on developing these skills, it's important to have realistic expectations about the outcomes. A good initial outcome might be increased confidence in initiating conversations. You'll find yourself more comfortable starting discussions and less anxious in social situations. An excellent outcome would be the ability to lead engaging discussions that others genuinely enjoy. You'll notice people seeking you out in social settings, eager to talk with you because they know the conversation will be interesting and rewarding. The best possible outcome is mastery in influencing conversations in ways that lead to personal and professional opportunities. At this level, you're not just having enjoyable chats, you're using your conversational skills to build meaningful relationships, advance your career, and achieve your goals. Of course, as with any skill, there can be challenges along the way. One common issue is unintentionally dominating the conversation. In your enthusiasm to lead the discussion, you might find yourself talking too much and not giving others enough space to contribute. The solution is to practice active listening and consciously create opportunities for others to speak. Remember, leading a conversation is about guiding the interaction, not monopolizing it. Another potential pitfall is when topics fall flat or cause discomfort. This can happen even with the best intentions. The key is to be attentive to others' reactions and be ready to steer the conversation in a different direction if needed. If you notice people seeming disengaged or uncomfortable, don't be afraid to change course. You might say something like, "That reminds me, I wanted to ask you about," and introduce a new topic. Lastly, you might find it challenging to transition smoothly between topics at first. This is a skill that takes practice to master. One helpful strategy is to prepare a few transitional phrases that you can use in various situations. Phrases like, "That's interesting, it reminds me of," or "speaking of which," can help you bridge between topics more smoothly. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to remember that becoming a skilled conversationalist is a journey, not a destination. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice and refine your skills. The more you engage in conversations with intention and awareness, the more natural these techniques will become. You've learned about setting conversational goals, making smooth transitions, asking open-ended questions, using humor effectively, and making others feel valued. You've explored practical exercises to enhance your conversation leading skills, but this is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to mastering social interactions. In the next chapter, we'll delve into a crucial aspect of social dynamics that many people struggle with. It's a skill that can dramatically improve your relationships, boost your self-esteem, and help you navigate the complexities of human interaction with grace and confidence. Are you ready to discover the secret to maintaining your integrity while nurturing your connections? The journey continues, and what comes next might just transform how you approach every relationship in your life. Chapter 8. Maintain boundaries. Imagine standing at the edge of a beautiful garden. This garden represents your life, your emotions, your energy. It's filled with vibrant flowers, lush greenery, and peaceful pathways. Now, picture this garden without any fences or borders. Anyone could wander in at any time, trampling the delicate blooms, disrupting the tranquility. How long would this garden remain beautiful and thriving? This chapter is about learning to build and maintain the fences around your personal garden. But these aren't rigid, impenetrable walls. They're more like flexible, transparent boundaries that allow you to control what comes in and what goes out. They're the key to preserving your emotional well-being while still engaging fully with the world around you. But what exactly do we mean by boundaries? It's a term that's often used but rarely fully understood. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and others begin. They're the limits you set in relationships, in work, and in life that protect your physical and emotional space. They're not about shutting people out, but about creating a healthy space for yourself within your relationships. So why is this skill so crucial for mastering emotional intelligence and social skills? First and foremost, boundaries are your first line of defense against burnout and emotional exhaustion. In a world that often demands more and more of our time and energy, knowing how to say no and protect your resources is essential. Without clear boundaries, you might find yourself constantly drained, always giving more than you can afford to give. Moreover, boundaries are the foundation of respect in relationships. When you clearly communicate your limits and expectations and respect those of others, you create an environment of mutual understanding and consideration. This leads to healthier, more balanced relationships in all areas of life. Perhaps most importantly, maintaining healthy boundaries enhances your self-esteem and personal autonomy. It's an affirmation that your needs and feelings matter, that you have the right to make choices about your life and how you spend your energy. This sense of self-respect radiates outward, influencing how others perceive and treat you. So, how do we go about setting and maintaining these crucial boundaries? It starts with understanding your personal limits. This involves identifying your non-negotiables, the things you absolutely will not accept in your life or your relationships. These might be behaviors you won't tolerate, situations you won't put yourself in, or demands on your time and energy that you're not willing to meet. Understanding your non-negotiables isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about knowing yourself well enough to recognize what truly matters to you, what you need to feel safe and respected, and what crosses the line for you personally. These will be different for everyone, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're clear about what they are for you. Equally important is understanding your emotional boundaries. This involves being able to distinguish your feelings from those of others. It's about recognizing that while you can empathize with someone's pain or joy, their emotions are not your responsibility to fix or manage. This doesn't mean being cold or uncaring, but rather maintaining a healthy separation between your emotional state and that of others. Once you've identified your boundaries, the next crucial step is learning how to communicate them effectively. This is where assertive communication comes into play. Assertiveness is the art of expressing your needs, wants, and limits clearly and respectfully without aggression or passivity. When communicating boundaries, it's important to use firm but polite language. Be clear and specific about what you need or what isn't acceptable to you. For example, instead of saying, "Don't bother me," you might say, "I need uninterrupted time to focus on this project between 2 and 4 p.m." This clearly states your boundary while also explaining the reason behind it. One of the most challenging aspects of maintaining boundaries for many people is learning to say no gracefully. In a world that often equates busyness with importance, saying no can feel like you're missing out or letting others down. But remember, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, often to your own needs or priorities. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or confrontational. You can decline requests politely and even offer alternatives when appropriate. For instance, "I'm not able to take on that project right now, but I'd be happy to review the final draft if that would be helpful." This maintains your boundary while still offering support in a way that works for you. Protecting your well-being is at the heart of maintaining healthy boundaries. This involves prioritizing self-care and managing your energy levels. Self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. By allocating time for rest and personal activities, you're ensuring that you have the energy and emotional resources to engage fully in your relationships and responsibilities. Part of this involves learning to recognize the signs of overwhelm. These might be physical symptoms like fatigue or headaches, emotional signs like irritability or anxiety, or behavioral changes like procrastination or withdrawal. When you notice these signs, it's a cue to reinforce your boundaries and perhaps step back to recharge. Managing your energy levels also means finding a balance between social interactions and personal time. While connections with others are vital for our well-being, most people also need some amount of solitude to recharge. Understanding your own needs in this regard and setting limits on your commitments accordingly is crucial for maintaining your emotional equilibrium. Now, let's explore some practical exercises you can use to develop and strengthen your boundary-setting skills. One useful tool is a boundary identification worksheet. This involves listing different areas of your life, work, family, friendships, romantic relationships, and identifying where you need to establish or reinforce boundaries in each area. Be specific about what behaviors or situations you need to address. Role-playing can also be an incredibly effective way to practice asserting your boundaries. Find a trusted friend or family member and act out scenarios where you need to communicate a boundary. This might feel awkward at first, but it's a safe way to practice using assertive language and standing firm in your limits. Reflective journaling is another powerful exercise for developing stronger boundaries. Write about experiences where your boundaries were respected and how that felt. Also, reflect on times when your boundaries were crossed. What happened? How did you respond? What might you do differently in the future? This kind of reflection can help you identify patterns and areas for improvement in your boundary setting. As you work on developing these skills, it's important to have realistic expectations about the outcomes. A good initial outcome might be the ability to set basic boundaries without excessive discomfort. You'll find yourself able to say no to unreasonable requests or communicate your needs without feeling overwhelmed by guilt or anxiety. An excellent outcome would be consistently maintaining your boundaries and feeling respected in your relationships. You'll notice that people in your life understand and honor your limits, and you're able to navigate complex social situations without compromising your well-being. The The best possible outcome is developing empowered relationships where boundaries enhance mutual respect and understanding. At this level, your boundaries aren't just protective measures, but tools for creating deeper, more authentic connections. You and the people in your life understand each other's needs and limits, leading to relationships characterized by trust, respect, and genuine intimacy. Of course, as with any skill, there can be challenges along the way. One common issue is the fear of upsetting others. It's natural to want to please people and avoid conflict, but remember that healthy boundaries benefit everyone involved. They prevent resentment, miscommunication, and burnout. Remind yourself that by setting clear boundaries, you're actually contributing to healthier, more sustainable relationships. Another potential problem is when others ignore or push against your boundaries. This can be frustrating and disheartening. The key here is to reinforce your boundaries firmly and consistently. If someone continues to disregard your limits, it may be necessary to reevaluate the health of that relationship. Remember, respect for your boundaries is a fundamental aspect of a healthy relationship. On the flip side, some people might find themselves setting overly rigid boundaries that lead to isolation. While it's important to protect your emotional well-being, it's also crucial to remain open to connection and growth. If you find that your boundaries are preventing you from forming close relationships or engaging in meaningful experiences, it might be time to reassess. The goal is to find a balance where your boundaries are flexible enough to allow for intimacy and growth, yet firm enough to protect your core needs and values. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to remember that maintaining boundaries is an ongoing process. It's not about building impenetrable walls, but about creating flexible, transparent fences that allow you to engage with the world on your own terms. Your boundaries may shift and evolve as you grow and your circumstances change, and that's okay. The important thing is that you remain attuned to your needs and committed to honoring them. You've learned about identifying your personal limits, communicating your boundaries assertively, and protecting your well-being. You've explored practical exercises to enhance your boundary-setting skills. But this journey of self-discovery and interpersonal mastery doesn't end here. In the final chapter, we'll tie everything together and look towards the future. We'll explore how all these skills, from self-awareness to emotional regulation, from understanding others to maintaining boundaries, come together to create a more emotionally intelligent, socially adept you. Are you ready to step into a new phase of personal growth and social mastery? The culmination of our journey awaits, and what lies beyond might just surprise you. Chapter 9, Beyond the Mirror. As we reach the final chapter of our journey, take a moment to pause and reflect. Think back to where you were when you first opened this book. Perhaps you felt uncertain in social situations, struggled to understand your own emotions, or found it challenging to connect deeply with others. Now, as you stand at the threshold of this last chapter, you're not the same person you were then. You've grown, evolved, and acquired a powerful set of tools that can transform your social and emotional life. This chapter is about looking beyond the mirror, not just seeing your reflection, but envisioning the person you're becoming and the life you're creating with your newfound skills. It's about recognizing the profound transformation you've undergone and understanding how to carry these changes forward into every aspect of your life. Let's start by acknowledging the empowerment you've gained through this journey. You've developed a deep understanding of yourself, learning to recognize and manage your emotions with skill and grace. You've honed your ability to understand others, to read the subtle cues of nonverbal communication, and to empathize with different perspectives. You've learned to build rapport quickly, to navigate conflicts constructively, and to lead conversations with confidence and purpose. And perhaps most importantly, you've discovered how to set and maintain healthy boundaries, protecting your emotional well-being while fostering genuine connections. These aren't just abstract concepts or theoretical knowledge. They're practical, powerful tools that you now have at your disposal. Think about how these skills can transform your daily life. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers, feeling confident in your ability to connect and engage. Picture yourself navigating a difficult conversation with a loved one, using your conflict resolution skills to find a mutually satisfying solution. Envision leading a team meeting at work, guiding the discussion with ease and bringing out the best in each participant. The impact of these skills on your relationships cannot be overstated. With your enhanced emotional intelligence and social skills, you're now equipped to build deeper, more authentic connections with others. You can communicate more effectively, expressing your thoughts and feelings clearly while also truly hearing and understanding others. Conflicts, which once might have seemed insurmountable, can now become opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. Think about how this might play out in your personal life. Perhaps you'll find yourself having more meaningful conversations with your partner, really listening and empathizing with their perspective. Maybe you'll be able to navigate family dynamics with more grace, understanding the underlying emotions and needs that drive behavior. In friendships, you might find yourself forming deeper bonds, creating a supportive network of authentic relationships. In your professional life, these skills can be equally transformative. You'll be able to navigate office politics with more ease, understanding the social dynamics at play and positioning yourself effectively. In meetings and presentations, you can lead conversations confidently, influencing outcomes and inspiring others. Your ability to build rapport quickly can open doors to new opportunities, while your conflict resolution skills can make you an invaluable team member and leader. But perhaps the most profound change is in how you'll be able to maintain your own emotional well-being throughout all of this. By setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, you can engage fully in your relationships and work without fear of burnout or emotional exhaustion. You'll be able to say no when necessary, to protect your time and energy, and to ensure that you're showing up as your best self in all areas of your life. As you continue to practice and integrate these skills, you'll find that they become more and more natural over time. What once required conscious effort will start to feel effortless. You'll develop habits that reinforce these skills naturally, weaving them into the fabric of your daily life. As this happens, you'll likely notice increased confidence and reduced anxiety in social situations. The energy you once spent worrying about how to act or what to say can now be channeled into genuine engagement and connection. Take a moment now to reflect on your growth since beginning this journey. Think about specific situations where you've noticed a change in your behavior or reactions. Perhaps there was a conflict you handled with newfound grace, or a connection you forged that would have been difficult for you before. Celebrate these achievements, no matter how small they might seem. Each is a testament to your growth and a stepping stone to further development. At the same time, be honest with yourself about areas where you still see room for improvement. Maybe you still struggle with asserting boundaries in certain relationships, or find it challenging to regulate your emotions in high-stress situations. Recognizing these areas isn't a sign of failure. It's an opportunity for continued growth. Remember, mastering emotional intelligence and social skills is a lifelong journey, not a destination. This brings us to a crucial point: the importance of continuous learning. The skills you've developed are not static. They can and should evolve as you encounter new situations and relationships. Embrace this as an exciting opportunity for lifelong development. Seek out new challenges that push you to apply your skills in different contexts. Read widely, engage in diverse social situations, and remain open to new perspectives and ideas. As you carry these skills forward into your life, you'll likely find that their impact extends far beyond your own personal growth. You may become a source of inspiration for others, leading by example in your relationships and work. Your increased emotional intelligence can make you a better friend, partner, colleague, and leader. You might find yourself naturally mentoring others, sharing your insights, and helping them develop their own emotional and social skills. Imagine the ripple effect this can have. As you interact with others with greater empathy, understanding, and emotional regulation, you create an environment that encourages the same in return. Your ability to navigate conflicts constructively can help create more harmonious relationships in workplaces. Your skill in leading conversations can bring out the best in others, fostering creativity and collaboration. In essence, what you've gained through this journey is not just a set of skills, but a new way of being in the world. You've developed a deeper understanding of yourself and others, a greater capacity for meaningful connection, and the ability to navigate the complexities of human interaction with grace and authenticity. As we conclude this book, I want to leave you with a powerful truth. The person you've become through this journey, more self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and socially skilled, is the person you've always had the potential to be. These skills were always within you, waiting to be developed and honed. What you've done is unlock that potential, bringing forth a version of yourself that can engage more fully, connect more deeply, and live more authentically. This is the true power of emotional intelligence and social skills. It's not about becoming someone you're not, but about becoming more fully yourself, the best version of you. It's about having the tools to express your true self more effectively, to connect with others more genuinely, and to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and grace. As you close this book and step back into your life, carry with you the knowledge that you now have the power to shape your social and emotional experiences. You have the ability to create the connections you desire, to handle the conflicts that arise, and to lead the conversations that matter. You have the tools to protect your emotional well-being while engaging fully with the world around you. Remember, every interaction is an opportunity to practice and refine these skills. Every challenge is a chance to apply what you've learned in new ways, and every day is a new beginning on this lifelong journey of growth and self-discovery. You started this book looking for ways to master emotional intelligence and social skills. You end it not just with new skills, but with a new understanding of yourself and your potential. You are not shy. You are empowered, capable, and ready to create the social and emotional life you desire. The journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. As you step into the world with your newfound emotional intelligence and social skills, you'll encounter new challenges and opportunities. You'll find yourself in situations where understanding others isn't enough. You need to influence them. Perhaps you've already noticed moments where you wished you could be more persuasive, more compelling in your interactions. There's a whole new level of mastery waiting for you. What if you could not only connect with others, but also guide them towards mutual benefits? The next step in your transformation awaits in the audiobook, Persuasion Mastery: How to Get Anything You Want from Anyone. Discover how to ethically influence others and achieve your goals while creating win-win situations. Tap the center of the video now to continue your transformation journey.